First phase of the High Republic features a ton of characters with near identical backstories. How on earth was this allowed to happen?
Wait a minute, how did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Apparently not.
The High Republic introduces fans to 3 new families, the Bynes, the Yarrows, and Clan Staros. But what if I told you they're all variations on the same idea? I believe these 3 families stem from one true family at the core of the High Republic's Phase 1 plan. Let's start with the daughters. Effie Hollow is a pilot for the hauling corporation known as the Byne Guild. So is Silvestri Yarrow. At the beginning of her story, Effie has been separated from her mother, the wealthy and influential Scova Byne, head of the Byne Guild. Growing up, Silvestri also went long stints without contact from her mother. Both girls would eventually come to believe that their mother was killed during an attack by galactic raiders known as the Nile. Effie believes her mother was killed when the raiders pulled a large freighter out of hyperspace, an event later known as the Great Disaster, a crucial part of the High Republic's first phase. Silvestri also believes her mother was killed by the Nile, although in a different attack. While searching for answers and in search of revenge, both Effie and Silvestri will come to learn that their mother is actually alive, but both girls get more than they bargained for when they're reunited with their mothers. That's because in search of truth, both Effie and Silvestri would uncover the corrupt histories of their mothers.
Oh, not good.
So let's change gears and look at the mothers of both Silvestri and Effie. Scova Byne is the adoptive mother of Effie Hollow and founder of the Byne Guild. Chancey Yarrow, Silvestri's mother, is a disgraced scientist who also works now for the Byne Guild. Both of these women would eventually be arrested for crimes against the Republic. Scova for using indentured servitude as the foundation of her trading guild, Chancey for working with the Nile leadership to engineer weapons like the one which caused the Great Disaster.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
And while there are some suspiciously similar threads that cross these 2 families, there's enough in here to claim they were conceived independently by the authors. But I present to you a missing link which proves all 3 families introduced in Phase 1 of the High Republic came from the same idea, that being Clan Staros, featuring Avon, daughter of Senator Gera Staros. Avon has been sent away from her mother to live on Hayleap. Gera is secretly in a romantic relationship with the Nile's leader, betraying the Republic and sharing its secrets with their enemy. A repurposed bodyguard droid named J6 has been handed down through generations of Clan Staros and is currently in Avon's possession. This is perhaps a good time to mention that Silvestri also has M227, a repurposed security droid which has been handed down through the Yarrow family as well. If we lay all 3 families side by side, you can start to see exactly where and how the characters overlap, and it's a lot. So what went wrong? How was this not picked up by the authors or their editors? How did we end up with 3 identical families all going through the same motions? Well, I asked the authors who created these identical families if they could shed some light on the topic. But I bet you wouldn't be surprised to hear that my tweeting got me nowhere. Neither did any of my other attempts for contact. That's fine, they don't owe me anything, but if we're to find the answers ourselves, then we're gonna need to go back to where the High Republic all began.
Centuries before the rise of the Empire, prosperity, pioneering, and adventure marked the era of the High Republic.
First announced as Project Luminous, the High Republic is an ongoing multimedia project written for the most part by authors Kevin Scott, Claudia Gray, Charles Soule, Daniel Jose Older, and Justina Ireland. The tale so far has been told across comics, novels, and audio dramas, all telling one story set approximately 2 centuries before the events of the Phantom Menace. Details about the project were revealed in 2020, and the project was officially released in 2021. But the epic has its origins all the way back in 2018. That's when these 5 writers and the Star Wars publishing division all gathered at Skywalker Ranch to come up with a new era of storytelling in a galaxy far, far away.
The idea that this thing has been simmering for so long.
It's the secret history of the galaxy.
Yep, that goes way back to the beginning of Star Wars.
This would be the first time that many of these people would meet face to face, swapping interpretations and sharing ideas, eventually establishing an outline for the setting, the story, and crucially, the characters they wanted to follow throughout this new chapter in galactic history.
It was so great because it was just unpredictable and a little chaotic, but in the very best way. It was a lot of fun.
Once the retreats were all over, the authors were sent back to write their piece of the epic story. This is how we ended up with 3 different families who share the same story beats, going through the same challenges simultaneously. Perhaps most confusing is the fact that while Claudia Gray wrote Affy Hollow and Scova Bine, Justina Ireland introduced all the others. But hey, perhaps it's not so dramatic as both authors refusing to budge. It's possible Gray and Ireland thought they were clear to write a piece of the saga containing the Guild family in their own entries to the High Republic, only to have the issue flagged by editors sometime down the line.
But how do you decide who gets to write what stories?
We fight it out.
Readers would have been quick to point out the inconsistencies if one family was in 3 places at once across the High Republic storytelling. To have to rewrite 1 or more entries into the High Republic would have caused major delays. Maybe that's why the characters seem to be the same, only given a fresh coat of paint, a sneaky name change and tweak of origin, just enough to establish them as distinct members of the cast, while keeping each story's respective narrative intact. A discrepancy like this could totally happen during the High Republic. The project could probably best be described as a relay race. Characters are created by one author, featured and developed in another's work, and sometimes even killed off by other authors. So being able to establish true ownership of an idea or character which was likely brainstormed by 4 other authors could be tricky, to say the least.
A communications disruption can mean only one thing.
It's worth taking a step back and considering the setting where these characters are introduced and the stories in which they're placed. All these characters are introduced in either a young adult or young reader adventure. Stories featured within this sort of reader's range famously tell coming-of-age stories, which heavily feature younger main characters rebelling against their parents. These are the types of stories that feature kids learning to go their own way, and learning that some of the many truths they hold on to may not be true at all. If we were to look at our initial character bios, peel the Star Wars label off of them, it's easy to see how this family could fit into just about any story marketed to tweens as part of the young adult category. But let's be honest with each other, are we willing to chalk this crazy coincidence up to it all just being part of a trope? These stories are all part of a larger project. Completionists like you and me will spot the similarities and grow tired of retreading the same plot points over and over again. To a critic, this could be amusing to point out, but to a casual reader, it could be downright confusing to have so many characters who are so similar to one another, all running around in the same setting. I'm trying to build a community of Star Wars fans who like looking at the finer details of a galaxy far, far away. If this sounds like a bit of you, then jump on board, we'd love to have you. I'm interested to hear your take on all of this. Are these characters complete carbon copies of one another, or are they just typical of the genre of storytelling? Check in down below and let me know what you think in the comments. I'm keen to discuss this with other fans. And that's everything I've got for today. Remember, the Force will be with you, always.